right, thank you everyone for joining us again on Al Heron Talks. This is our, I don't even know what episode this is. I think it's episode number seven. And so I'm glad you all have been with us for this journey. We have a very special guest today. And no one can ever say that I only bring people from Monument on our show. Our show is for everybody. I have some really cool friends in the industry at even other places, and we let them show up here from time to time. Melinda Miller, as most of you know, is one of the more dynamic leaders and members of the Keller Williams organization, and she's been I think forever. I don't know, having like a million years at Keller Williams Arlington or Keller Williams Lone Star now, and that's where I got to know her best. And she's an outstanding leader, and even though she's not at Monument, she's at my probably second favorite brokerage. That's okay. She's a phenomenal teacher, instructor, leader, and so we always want to put people like that in front of you. Obviously, all of our conversations are meant to entertain, educate, and encourage. So we want to make sure that we hit all three. I think we'll be able to do that with our guest today. And we'll just get right into it. I want to, so our today's episode is entitled, is that how you say entitled, Staying Alive, right? And so Staying Alive, the Bee Gees hit Staying Alive. We probably, I don't know what the royalty situation is, or I don't think we can use the song to come into without having to pay money, but
use that one.
Yeah, Staying Alive, the Bee Gees. Let that be your intro music when you go speak at conferences and wherever. Let Staying Alive be that's your theme. Okay. Because Melinda has done just that. She is staying alive. I mean, literally. And she had a very, very scary health bout. And she was close within 24 hours of not being here. But she is here, and there's a lot of life revelations that occur when one gets to when one gets that close to understanding their mortality, and so she's got a lot of lessons now for those who are living life to where you don't have to get to where she got before you learn these lessons, and you can start to implement these things in your life now. And so I just wanted her to be able to come and share that with us today. And first, let me just start with this, Melinda. We love to let people kind of get to know your personality a little bit just by questions that we'll ask, just to kind of know, what things you like, what you enjoy doing. Do you have a favorite movie of all time?
Oh, I like all of the Creed movies. I can't say it's the one of all times, but here lately that has been, I would say the past 5 years. I've been really into Creed. So when I just saw Creed 3.
It was an excellent movie.
Excellent movie. I told you I was taking notes in the movie theater. It's but yeah, that I would say right now that's probably my favorite.
Yeah. Now remember, we talked about this one time before. One of your other favorite movies.
Oh gosh, no, you're gonna have to tell them. I know you're
right. It's Imitation of Life, right?
It is definitely Imitation of Life.
Right.
Oh my gosh! Now the things you remember.
Yeah. No,
Imitation of Life. If you haven't seen it, it's an old black and white movie.
Is it black and white? Is it in color?
Well, they redid it in color, but the original is black and white. It is now in color. You can find it. You can probably Google it, and you'll see it on a YouTube or something.
Streaming services, I think it's running on those. So Imitation of Life, let me tell you a quick story about that.
Oh, gosh. This is going to be fun.
And my closest friends know this, so I'm going to share this with all of you.
Don't judge me, y'all, about the movie, but go ahead.
No. We want, Sarah Jane, that's another piece. Well, that was just inside. I was not going to share that with everybody because there's another inside joke about that. But those who know me really well. They know that for years and years, all the way until I was a young adult, out of college, I feared Mahalia Jackson.
Why?
Like petrified, just scared of her.
Why is that? That's interesting.
So here's what apparently happened as a as a kid. We watched that movie at home, Imitation of Life, and very good movie.
Is it your mom's favorite movie or your dad's favorite movie?
Neither one. Neither one. That is just I don't know how we came across it. It was on and watched it, and that was a great movie. Until the funeral scene, and Mahalia Jackson is singing that, what's that song that does Sooner I'll Be Done with exactly. Troubles of the World. The song in and of itself is already so ominous and scary by itself. But the way Mahalia Jackson sang that song, the way she opened her mouth, I've never seen anybody open their mouth as wide as she was able to do. And in my mind, it seemed weird, almost like something was like she was scary to me. And so later that night, it was a thunderstorm, and my room was upstairs, and outside of my room, there's a big tree. And so when the lightning would happen, you could see outside and see reflections of the tree. And so I swear to you, to this day, and it seems so vivid, it did not seem like a dream.
I feel like you're going back there, like right
now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to tell you how this happened.
Oh, goodness.
In this scenario, which obviously had to have been a dream, but didn't feel like it, Mahalia Jackson, in the middle of a thunderstorm, lightning and everything, was sitting in that tree outside of my window, oh my God, singing that song.
Oh, Al, bless your heart.
And it scared me so much. It felt like it was like she was about to try to do something to me, right? Like it was like a death song, and like she was after me, chasing me to do something. And so from time to time, I would have these dreams about Mahalia, and she was always up to something nefarious, right? And so I feared Mahalia Jackson, even in college. I think that's one of the last times I had one of those dreams at the University of Texas. I remember in my apartment one time, been just waking straight up out of the bed.
This is going to be entertaining. I can see.
Well, I'm just saying that Mahalia Jackson's a wonderful, one of the greatest vocalists of all time. But for me, Mahalia Jackson is going to always be somewhat. I got past it. I appreciate what she does, and I can listen to it without being scared now. But now, if it's dark outside and it's nighttime and stuff, we're not doing Mahalia Jackson. We're not listening to Mahalia Jackson. But daytime and stuff, or even at a funeral now, if somebody wants to do a Mahalia Jackson
you don't
song.
really hear her songs anymore, but I get
no, yeah, I guess that, this is back in the day.
Yeah.
I'm dating myself a little bit. But now you go to...
We're both dating ourselves with that movie, but...
Well, if you go to a funeral of an old enough person, you'll hear some,
true.
Right. You'll get some Mahalia Jackson. There will always be some woman in one of those older churches that, because that's who that was the standard. They were trying to be Mahalia. Sure. And so you still can get some of that Mahalia Jackson. But anyway, so I say all that to say that, yes, now all of you know something about me that's unique, that I had an incredible fear of Mahalia Jackson for many years.
I know how I'm going to use this in the future. Thanks for the information.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Well, you can't do anything to me that people used to, back when we had answer machines, people used to play Mahalia Jackson. I'd go home and hear the answer machine. That's what we got. And so people used to we were kind of cruel about it, but it is what it is. But so very good. Imitation of Life, great movie. Check that out if you haven't seen it before. So, Melinda, let's get into it. You team lead at Keller Williams a few years ago, and I remember coming to visit you in your office during the height of COVID. COVID was raging, right? And but we were at the point where we can move around, so we weren't on lockdown. But everybody was being advised. Dr. Fauci was saying, wear your mask and get vaccinated and all this stuff. And I remember rushing out to get vaccinated. Right? I was not. Listen, everything said that. Look, if you were a little heavy, because I was a little overweight. You're diabetic. Yes. I was type 2 diabetic. Everything, all the things that COVID was going to jump out and get you, I had them, right? So I went and got vaccinated, kept my mask on. I wore even the Desperado mask, the one like about to rob someplace, right?
Correct.
But I wanted to make sure I was good.
Yeah.
So I have to come over to Arlington and visit you in your office. And the first thing I noticed, there is a bowl with these wristbands on it at the front desk. And there were options. If you wore one bracelet, it meant that I'm cool. COVID don't mean nothing to me. You don't wear a mask. You can cough in my face. I'm good. It may as well say they should have had writing on it, not just a color. It's just, I don't give a damn about COVID is what it should have said. Right? And so I see that. I'm like, really? This is what we doing? And so I see a lot of people walk around, no mask, everybody good, coughing, laughing in each other's face and all that stuff. And then there's another bracelet that says no. It should have said.
It was red.
Red should have said, hey, COVID is real, right? And everybody should have had that one on.
Correct.
So then I walk back to your office. And I see you at the desk. You just doing your thing, being you.
At my desk, yes.
Well, listen, you had to walk through all that to get to your desk.
I wore a mask, for sure.
Well, that's what you say. That's what you say. Every time I saw you, didn't have a mask on. Every time I saw you.
You were always in my office.
Okay, but you didn't have a mask on, right?
Correct.
And there you are in this environment. Mm-hmm. And I said, Melinda, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to get vaccinated and start wearing a mask.
Okay.
Even if you're sitting in this office, in your own office, because COVID is for real. I'm like, they ain't playing with that. I mean, y'all sitting there listening to the wrong people. I'm not trying to make this political, so y'all please don't do this to me. So, I know because there's a lot of people that.
Now the whole bracelet thing was not under my leadership.
I know you didn't do that. I know that was not your thing.
Under my leadership.
Yeah, but it was happening, and
it was happening,
and
yes.
so, it was happening in an environment where there was some people who didn't believe in COVID, some people did, and all that stuff. And so you had to protect yourself. So I said, Melinda, you need to wear your mask. You need to go get vaccinated.
Yes.
You need to go do that like yesterday.
Correct.
Okay. Fast forward.
This is why I asked for the questions ahead.
That's right. That's why I didn't give you the questions ahead of time. So fast forward, I get a phone call. They say, hey, we were talking about something else, and then it kind of comes up. It's almost like they kind of wanted to wait on it a little bit and tell me, hey, by the way, you ever get people say, hey, and of course you don't know. I didn't know this.
Right.
But by the way, Melinda's in the hospital. I said, what's she in the hospital for? Well, she got COVID. Now, I go silent for a second when this happens because I am furious. I'm like, Melinda has what? Well, she's got COVID. Now, I know you had a chance you can get COVID no matter what, right? Even if you were being very protective. But I knew you weren't being protective.
Do you really know that?
Heck yeah, I knew that because it's too.
Because you came into my office and I didn't have on a mask.
That wasn't the first time we had that conversation. That was the last time we had the conversation before you.
I'm the guest. I'll be quiet. Go right.
Yeah,
ahead.
well, no, you're gonna have plenty of time to talk in a minute. But I had to set this up properly.
Okay.
So I get this guy, so that you in the hospital, right?
Yes.
I'm like, dang. Well, she's gonna be all right. This is what I'm thinking. She's gonna be all right. She's gonna be all right. And, then I get a call later. A couple of days later, like, dude, she ain't doing good. And I was like, what you mean? They're like, it's bad. I'm like, oh, Lord. So I moved from being mad to now I'm scared. I'm praying for you. I'm like, she gonna make it. She gonna make it. And then I'm getting calls that, no, dude, she ain't gonna make it.
Wow.
I'm like, what? I said, no way. And you had been in there so long, and I was concerned about that because it had been a long time. But I was like, I know this is a process you got to get. And then, and I'm gonna let you tell us how close it. Okay, so y'all, I say all that to say because this is my only chance to be able to do this because Melinda really is owed a good cussing out from me because I told her.
You're not the only person.
Oh yeah,
who said that.
It's a
Go
bunch
right
of people who believe that, but But I moved from that to a place of gratitude that you were able to come out of this on the other side. Everything's good. So we thank the Lord for that.
Still waiting for that.
So everybody wants, because we don't know
we can probably have a line outside, and you could have called everybody over, and we could just do it.
And we might ultimately do that. We'll probably go to a restaurant someplace and let everybody come and do that together. We'll make it a joint. We'll do that as a joint effort. But so now tell me, Melinda, so everybody knows how bad it got and how close you were to not being here. What?
Here's the interesting fact about this. I was not vaccinated. I had called everybody I know, make sure they were vaccinated. I myself did not get vaccinated. I really felt like I had avoided COVID, and if I had it, I didn't know I had it. And when I say that, I mean, I was in the office, even on the shelter in place. I was still going to the office, checking on everything, just to make sure things were okay. And then when we could stay home, I would still go in and check on things,
Get up close enough to the mic so everybody can hear that. Yeah, make sure you say all this in the mic. Good. So, yeah.
I was showing up. So I did that. And I hadn't gotten COVID, so I really felt like I was good. I really did feel like I was good.
Superman.
Superwoman.
But
yeah, I thought I was great. Now, here's the crazy part about COVID. We heard the symptoms. We heard what to watch out for. We heard how your body would respond, all of those things, and I didn't have any of those symptoms. If I had had a fever at any point, I didn't know I had a fever, right? Maybe, so I don't know, one day I just could not catch my breath. Like I was tired, thought I needed vacation because remember, I had just come and resigned from leadership on the level I was on as a team leader. So when I did that, I thought, I just need a vacation. I need rest. I need to change my diet. All of these things, never at any point did I think, oh, it's COVID. So this was now July of 2021. And I was like, let me take a COVID test. So I just had a death in my family. And I went, took the COVID test, didn't have the results back, went to the funeral. After the funeral, I just had no energy. Like I walked from one part of the church to like the back, and I felt like I needed to rest. So I told my husband, I said, something's different today. I feel like I can't catch my breath. I'm going to call my doctor. So I called my doctor. I said, hey, I've taken a COVID test. I don't have my results back yet, but I can't catch my breath. Can I come in to the office? And they're like, no way. Go to the emergency room. I go to the emergency room. I walk in, and I'm waiting. The entire waiting room is filled with people. At this point, I don't know. They all have COVID, but they all had COVID.
Sure,
right? I go up. I give them my name, give them my information, my insurance card, all the things. And then they put the O2 oxygen thing on. I forgot what it's called now. But they put that on, and they're like, whoa, you flew in on wings today. And I was like what? I don't even know what that means. And they said your oxygen's at a 30.
A 30?
A 30. Your oxygen, FYI, should be at a 99 to 100. So it's at a 30. And I am concerned, of course, but I'm not making the connection at this point. So I immediately get rushed back to the emergency room area, and they start, of course, to put oxygen on me. And then I feel like my oxygen's going up. I'm going to be great. I'm going to get to go home. They're going to give me some medication. All's going to be well. Right. And then the nurse comes back in, and he says, you do have COVID. And I was like, oh, wow. So I text my friend a picture of myself with the oxygen on. And I was like, because I just come back from Vegas.
So you kind of halfway playing. You playing a little bit. See?
Right.
Yeah, you do.
So it's me, right? So it's my sense of humor, odd as it is. So I take a picture, and I said, the one thing, everything that happens in Vegas stays in Vegas except COVID. And of course they're like, what? You have COVID? I can't believe, all the things. And so I'm still not thinking of the danger I'm in, even though I know my oxygen's at a 30, but I still don't know what that means. Like, it doesn't mean anything to me. So I, next thing, someone comes in and they say, we're going to have to put you on the ventilator. And I'm like,
it got real.
No.
It got
it's like seconds.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was just taking a picture. So they're like, okay, we have to put you on a ventilator. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I'm texting my husband because now they're not letting him come back. Right. So I think he had gone to take my son home, and then he came back, and they're like, he can't come back because of COVID restrictions, et cetera. And so I have my husband's friend is a surgeon, and I'm like, he's going to know what to do. He's going to know what's best for me. Let me text him. So I text him and I say, listen, I need you to find my husband and help him help me. And I don't even know what happened after that. The other text I sent out was to one of our office leaders. I text her and I said, listen, I was already telling people, okay, I'm not going to be able to show up for that event because I have COVID. And I'm still not thinking it's extremely serious when I text her. It wasn't until they came back and said something about the ventilator.
Now, let me say this real quick, though.
Yes.
Don't ever, so if y'all listening, if I ever end up sending you a text message and tell you to help my wife help me, don't do that. Get in touch with me first. Don't send somebody to go be telling, because if my wife gets a message like that, I'll send a message.
I wanted him to get the message like, I don't know what's going on back here because he can't come back.
But why didn't you just send him a message?
No, I'd already sent him a message. He hadn't responded.
Oh, because he was at Whataburger somewhere.
He was getting Starbucks.
Yeah, he was chilling, just waiting for when he to come when you get discharged.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure that's what he was thinking, because we're not thinking anything serious at this point. Well, he wasn't.
Right.
And I wasn't either, because it wasn't until they said I need to put you on a ventilator. So when they said that, I immediately called I text a friend. I told her, hey, they want to put me on a ventilator. I don't want it. Like, I don't want that. And then, keep in contact with my husband to figure out what's going on. And then I text my parents' pastor. I call them and I said, hey, I need you to pray with me. Pray with that person. Next thing you know, I don't remember anything else. From that point, I don't remember anything else until I wake up again.
Let me tell you something. You were doing too much in that whole just be still. Because that would have messed me up more. Like, then she done called, talking about let's pray together. Now we can't hear nothing from her. Do you know what those people were thinking when that happened?
I have no idea what they were thinking. I will ask them one day, what were they thinking when they got that text message? But I don't know.
You ask them, and they're gonna be like, "Dang, what is she doing?" And let me say, we can joke about it now.
Yeah, of course.
Now, had you passed away, your obituary picture should have been that last picture you sent, the one where you trying to be funny with the oxygen and all this stuff. That should have been on the front of your obituary.
Oh my God!
Because that would have been a lesson for everybody. It would have been a COVID lesson. Right. But anyway, so then you don't remember anything until you wake up. And when do you wake up?
October. I don't know, around October.
When did you go into the hospital?
July.
Of
2021.
2021. July 2021. You wake up in October.
Now, I don't even know it's October at this point.
I know I'm sure you don't. Everybody at the fair and everything, we enjoying corner dogs and stuff, and you still just waking up from COVID.
Yeah, 2021, October 2021. Actually, I had missed my whole birthday. My birthday's in October, and I had missed my birthday, like, for sure.
So when you wake up, what do you do you even recognize it's been a minute, or does it feel like you just... I don't know
if I should even share all of this, but I'm going to go ahead and share this. When I would wake up, mostly was at night, would wake up and I was thinking, what am I doing here? Like, because I don't even know where I am at this point. Now, mind you, I'm in the bed looking up, so I can see like windows and things like that around me, but I don't see people.
Right.
So because I don't see people, I can't figure it out. And of course, what do I think? did we move? Like, how did we move and I didn't know we moved? Because the way the hospital room is set up, it is set up kind of like a living room. Like, I saw a sofa, I saw a window, I saw another window here and curtains. Of course, I'm in the ICU.
Right.
You know, they have the curtains and the windows. And I'm like, wow, where am I? So at this point, I don't know if anybody knows this, but when you are trying to figure out life, there's a lot of people you think about. But in that moment, all I could think about was my mother. I don't talk to my mom every day. My mom lives in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Don't talk to her every day. But I knew if I found my mother, I could probably get some answers as to what was going on. I wasn't even, bless Dennis's heart, my husband. I didn't even think about him at the time. I'm thinking, how did we move? And I don't even know we've moved at this point because I haven't made it all together. Of course, I'm probably still drugged up a lot.
Obviously.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's
and you can't talk, right? Because you've got the ventilator stuff and all that.
I don't really know that I can't talk, except I know I'm talking, right? I'm trying to communicate with people, and they really can't hear me because I have the ventilator. I have all kinds of stuff, but I don't know any of this is going on. I'm thinking just let me get out of the bed. I'm going to get out of here. I can tell I'm in a bed, right?
But you can't tell that you're connected to anything. Do you not hear the machines and all this stuff?
No, not really. No. I think it probably had become so routine that it was just kind of.
So how does that not scare you to death, though? It seemed like that would cause me to have a heart attack right there. I'm like, I don't know what is this?
Well, it's interesting because so I'm at some point tied to the bed, and it wasn't until a nurse came and or a doctor or something came and shared with my husband, we're going to send an order to untie her. Because if she wakes up and realizes that she's tied to the bed, she's going to panic. And if she's fighting to come back and then she panics, then it's going to be worse instead of being better. So I was tied down for a while, but I can't even move my hands. So even if I think I'm moving them, I'm not moving my hands. Like your brain is telling your hands to move, but when they're not moving, you're not paying attention to that. Wow. I know, yeah.
So then during this whole period, though, from July to October,
correct,
what is the update that your husband Dennis and everybody is receiving from what is the hospital saying?
So I should have brought Dennis with me. Here's the thing: they were saying I wouldn't come back because that was what had been happening, right? My mom, when she reflects back on everything, people were being rolled out like daily. That had been dying of COVID. I actually was the first person to leave that hospital in a 90-day period who had survived COVID. Wow. And I probably had it the worst than probably anybody in there at that time because I ended up developing quadruple pneumonia, which I had pneumonia 4 times. So I would have pneumonia, get over it, have it again, get over it. Last 2 times, I believe it was Pseudomonas pneumonia. It may have been the last time, but at least the last 2, it was Pseudomonas pneumonia, which is caused by the ventilator.
Wow. Look at you.
People weren't coming back from that either. So
you learned all these terms and stuff. You got you a medical.
Fancy. Yeah, so, I'm a Google doctor now. Yeah.
So, but it got so bad to at the very tail end of it, they tell Dennis and everybody that, hey, we gotta take her off the thing.
Correct.
And to tell us that.
So time after time, they were telling Dennis I wouldn't be able to bounce back just based on my condition. Now, I did not know going in I am overweight. I did not go in knowing that I had diabetes. So I had that. Didn't know that. Yeah. Definitely. Well, it's probably more borderline at that point. So they were sharing with him that he needed to just let go, right? It would be better for him, better for me, instead of possibly suffering from what would have happened or what did happen, I should say. So they were preparing him for that. Also, the doctors, the chaplain, of course, they're in preparation mode. Like, this is how you probably need to proceed going forward. My husband asked for some more time for prayers from my pastor. And And so they gave him that. They gave him the time. So they had were trying to prove to him that my body was not responding, to the point to where the doctor shook my body to show him that, like, she's not doing anything, like she's just laying here. And so in that moment, Dennis said he listened patiently to the doctor and his report and what he suggested, yet he was upset, but he didn't show he was upset. So what he did at that point, I actually had a client whose best friend was part of the medical staff at that hospital. Somehow they got word of it. They connected with Dennis. She came to check on me. And of course, offering support, suggestions, that type of thing. And it pays to do your clients right.
Right.
Never know who knows who. And so from that point, they tried to get another doctor on my case or whatever. And so they were going to show Dennis that if they removed all medication and my body still didn't respond, that would be the indication that there was nothing else left to do. So they unplugged me from all medication for 2 days. Basically, they didn't check on me anymore for those 2 days. Dennis still did his routine. He would check 3 times a day. He would come by 3 times a day. And this is when he could see me, because at some point he couldn't see me the first 30 days because of COVID.
Sure.
So this is a COVID wing. So I had moved from the COVID wing to a regular ICU room because I no longer had COVID. And so I'm unplugged from everything for 2 days. Of course, I still have the breathing machine. It's medication I'm unplugged from. And when they came in, my kidneys had shut down, so my body's swelling. So I'm completely swollen. My tongue's hanging out my mouth. It won't go back in. And yeah, that was like the very end of right there in that moment. And that was around the end of August that part happened. Yeah.
So then a doctor from Dallas.
Right. So of course, this is a time like hospitals are like majorly understaffed, right? Not just because of what was going on in COVID, but some of them were getting sick because that's what they were around all day. So the second day, so Dennis and my pastor came, prayed for me, and prepared for the worst or the best. Like, they were just prepared either way. Dennis decided after he and my pastor came and prayed for me that he was going to come back normal time that he comes at night right before visiting hours are up. And he's still showing, he's still, doing real estate. I have my son who had just was about to start college at this point. Well, he had already graduated. We had just had a party in June for his graduation. So he was going off to school. And then what else happened? Is there anything else that was going on then? I mean, that's enough by itself. So he came back in and he just said, Melinda, I haven't given up. Like, don't give up, keep fighting, that kind of thing. He knew that hearing from what he understood was the last thing to go. And now,
can you remember hearing any of this, or do you?
I remember parts in which I heard him. I don't necessarily remember that per se. I feel like I do, but I can't really place that part. And then what happened? Oh, and then the next morning, so of course my parents haven't seen me this entire time. Wow. And like I said, my parents are here in Dallas, Fort Worth, so we had just lost the funeral I went to was my cousin, and we've, been in each other's lives all of our lives. And so our family had just experienced an untimely death as well, from my cousin. And so my parents have not been able to see me this entire time. So we're probably between 30 and 45 days or so. Wait, hold on. No, that was the end of August. Yeah, so end of August. So at least 30 plus days.
Yeah, probably 60.
All right. So where are we now? Okay, so next morning, a doctor comes in and says, I know they've given up. This is Dr. Blow, if he's listening. Dr. Blow from Methodist Dallas comes in And he says, I know they've given up. Let me try one more thing. So he tried several things of this one more thing. And I woke up that next day, right?
Wow.
Yeah, for sure. Yep.
Wow.
I know.
And Dr. Blow, and so you've not met Dr. Blow. You just know his name. So we got to make that reunion.
I'm telling you, I'm trying here. So, yeah. I am trying for sure. So I just got actually an office phone number for him not too long ago. I just need to reach out without sounding like a weirdo. Like, hey, this guy saved my life. Can I meet him?
I was going to say, he saved your life. Seemed like you could have found Dr. Blow by now. I mean, right. you didn't put in the effort to find Dr. Blow. But
I can find a house.
Yeah, you can find a house, but I can't find Dr. Blow. Okay. But so here's the thing. So when you wake up, and this is now the end of August.
Yeah. So September 1st was September 1st was the actual day.
Okay.
I woke up. So that's like my second birthday.
Yes.
October and September.
Okay. So, but now you're up, but you're in poor condition, right? Now we got to get you back to the health, and so you're still having to be hospitalized all the way from that point to October.
No, I didn't get out of the hospital until December.
What? Wait a minute now.
It was December. So, okay, so go into the hospital. I go through the worst part, right? September 1st, I'm alert somewhat. I mean, my body's moving now. Right. Things are moving. I'm on dialysis now at this point every day. And then October 4th is when I'm more conscious of what's happening. So around October 4th, I actually get transferred to another hospital. So this was more of a rehabilitation hospital. The hospital I was in had done everything they could do.
Right.
And then this is like at this point, I still don't know it's October.
Right.
So I go to the new hospital.
So let's go back then. So when you do wake up, you're just kind of in and out of consciousness. Not really. Absolutely. And nobody's really talking to you like, hey, Melinda, do you know?
By the way, can I just say to anybody, if you go visit people, tell them like, hey, today is.
This is what's happening.
This is what's going on. And I don't care if you told them yesterday. Don't assume they know it in the order in which you're telling them, or they can grasp. So do you not? So
you don't think people were telling you? Maybe just want to remember. Yeah.
Like Dennis says that I told you every day.
I'm knowing Dennis.
Today is.
It's no way Dennis didn't tell you. You just weren't. Yeah. Okay. So then you go to the rehabilitation hospital, and you're there having to.
Well, now at this point, let me just tell you.
Okay.
Care flights coming in. They're telling me, "Hey, Melinda, you get to leave," and I'm thinking I'm going home, right? And I'm like, okay, great. And so my room is right outside the helicopter landing. So I can see the helicopter. I'm like, I don't need anybody pushing me out, because I'm like, is it time to go? And they're like, no, we got to wait for a gurney to train. I was like, I can walk out. Just tell me which way to go, and I can walk out. Now, I cannot walk out.
Yeah, what are you? And
I don't know this, though.
And you're going to a helicopter?
Right.
Come on now. I mean, your situation can't be, you walk into the car like you going to an Uber or something. They taking you by care flight?
At this point, I think they decided not to do care flight. They did an ambulance, right? There were several people leaving at this time for various reasons. And so I'm seeing other people going out. I see them and I'm like, hurry up, like, let's get it. Let's go. And so, my family is encouraging me to be patient.
Right.
I have learned a whole new level of patience. And so I get on the in the ambulance, and the guy is even telling me, put your mask on, right?
Yeah, you probably put the mask on there.
I didn't know. I couldn't move, and he didn't know. Like, I couldn't move my arms. So he's like, you still didn't put your mask on. I'm like, I thought I did, like, because in my mind, I'm moving, right?
Right.
But I'm not. Like, I can lift my hands to wave, but I couldn't really do anything else.
Okay.
So I get to the next hospital, Specialty Select inside of Baylor, and I get there, and this is where I start to really feel like I know what's happening.
Okay.
Right. And so I told my husband, I was like, you're not leaving me here, are you? And he's like, yeah, you'll be fine. And I was like, oh, do not leave me here. Luckily, he did not leave me here, because when they're reading or leave me by myself, when they're reading my notes, they see I was on a ventilator. So I'm in that hospital, and they were trying to put the ventilator back on me.
Oh, no.
Because they were thinking I used it at night, right?
Oh, okay.
Imagine what that would have been like had he not stayed.
Oh, wow.
After a couple days, rehabilitation comes in, and they're like, I probably understood more of what they were saying at the time. Rehabilitation comes in, and this is when I find out it's October. So my aunt is in the room, and rehab comes in, and they're like, I keep trying to get people to let me get out of the bed, because I really truly believe I can walk at this point. So I keep trying to get rehab to let me out of the bed, or my nurse, hey, let me walk here, or whatever. They don't allow that, of course, and I can't walk. So my aunt, they were like, so do you know what today is? And I'm like, oh gosh. And I was like, July, I'm thinking July. And they're like, no. And I'm like, August. And my aunt goes, birthday month. And I was thinking, birthday month, whose birthday?
Right.
I'm like, we can't be back in July. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because my husband's birthday is in July. Her birthday is in September. And then I was like, oh my God, my birthday?
Right.
I'm like, October? And I am like, I cannot believe at this point it's October.
So all of it's real now. You're like, I cannot believe this is going on.
Oh my gosh. I'm thinking I missed my son's birthday. My son's birthday is in August. We had just celebrated my husband's birthday. And a matter of fact, my in-laws were in town while I was sick. Right. And I didn't have the energy to do anything even during that time. But anyway, so I go and find out it's October, and then it really becomes real. Like, they start coming in. This is the kind of therapy we're going to do. This is how we're going to go forward. So anyway, I can go on and on.
So then you finally get to the point where you can be released in December.
Correct.
And so, but what is, you get out, you're released, but what is life like now? You've been out a dang near half a year. And then first of all, are you aware at this point of how close you came to death?
I am aware somewhat. Because things start coming back to me, right? So I am aware where I am, especially when I realized I couldn't walk. Like that was there's like a turning point. The turning point was every day I would ask someone to let me out of the bed to walk, right? To go to the bathroom, all this kind of stuff. And I'm still at this point on dialysis. Early on, my kidneys did recover while I was in the second hospital, so no longer on dialysis. But of course, I still can't walk. I don't know that. I just think they're holding me down, that kind of stuff. Crazy stuff. So luckily for me, I had a therapist who understood what it was going to take for my mindset to really understand where I was.
Gotcha.
Now, this, Al, I would say is like gut-wrenching for me. So she comes in and she said, here's what we're going to do. There's a process to this. You can walk when you can sit up for 45 minutes. And I'm like, no problem. Like, I got this, right? So I get to the point to where I need to sit up. Well, I can't sit up. I don't even know I can't sit up.
Right.
So every day it would be, okay, we're going to sit up for 1 minute. Then we're going to sit up for 3. And I'm like a 4-month-old, wobbly, tobbly, all of this. And they were like, okay, you need to rest. We can see you needing to rest. I'm like, no, I can stay up longer. And my aunt, who would come on Thursdays to sit with me, and she was like, rest. Right. You know what I mean? So then I get the other therapist that says, okay, we're going to fit you for a wheelchair. When you go home, you're going to go home in a wheelchair. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to sell houses in a wheelchair? You've got to be kidding me, right? So finally, I'm sitting up for 45 minutes. The therapist says to me, we're going to put this gait belt on you.
To help you get up.
Right. And I'm going to stand in front of you. I'm going to stand kneecap to kneecap, toe to toe with you. I'm not going to let you fall. Okay. So she said on 3, you're going to stand up. So it's like 1, 2, 3. And when I go to stand, nothing moves. I am like anchored to the to the bed.
Right.
I feel like somebody's holding me down, and I'm like at this point I just let out this scream like, oh my gosh, like now it's even more real that I cannot walk. You know what I mean? And I've been walking all my life. You know what I'm saying? So this is like where I'm like, okay, I got to rethink this. And I'm thinking, okay, I can show a house in a wheelchair. I'm just going to show one stories. And I can still coach, and I can still teach. I can still do all these things, right?
And you processing all this right there?
Like, it's like it's going like 100 miles an hour. My mind, I'm a fast thinker, right? So I'm thinking all these things. So I've already come to the conclusion. I'm going to go home in a wheelchair. I'm going to show, houses. I'm going to show one stories. I'm going to coach. I'm going to teach. Like all this is in my mind. So now someone comes on. I was like, I can't go home in a wheelchair. Now I'm thinking like, I cannot go home in a wheelchair. And so finally we get to the point to where it's still a process. Like I'm working out. I'm learning patience at a whole new level. When I ring that bell on the hospital bed, I'm like, I need you like right now. Well, they can't come to me.
Right.
My mom's like, you're not the only patient in this hospital. Like they can't bring you anything. So at this point, I cannot even drink water because they don't want anything getting clogged. They don't want water going to my lungs, causing pneumonia again. So I would tell dentists, since you can't hear me, because I'm talking like this, if you can't hear me, bring me something to write with. Al, I pick up a pen, I can't even write, and I just try to throw it across the room, and it just falls like right here, right?
Right.
So I'm trying to figure it all out. Like I'm a note writer. Anybody who knows Melinda Miller knows I'm gonna send you a note in the mail. I'm gonna send you a card in the mail. I'm gonna welcome you to our office with a note card, right? So I can't write at this point. And I was like, this has got to be the worst thing that has ever happened to me. And now my husband, of course, is coming in every day, but then he's still leaving, working. He stays the night. That hospital will let him stay the night. So he stays the night and then goes to work and then comes back.
And Dennis needs to be. I wish we had. We should have had Dennis. Dennis deserves listen, that dude right there deserves all kinds of
thank you, Dennis Miller.
Rewards and awards. He's that dude did it.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm learning now. I need to learn how to walk. Like I can't leave like this, right?
Okay.
So from October to December, I'm learning how to walk. First, a machine walks for me. Of course, they do the process, the sitting up, the standing, all of that. Now the walking. So machine starts to move my legs for me. And I walk, a couple feet. I rest, a couple more feet. And I'm exhausted after like 10 or 15 minutes. Then we get to a point where it's December. Well, actually, it's November.
Okay.
And I'm ready. I'm ready to go home. I've gotten the ventilator off. I think the machine had breathed for me so long, I even forgot how to breathe. I remember getting my stuff out and all this kind of stuff. I had to have a trach so they could actually amplify my voice until my lungs, you could hear me. And so my voice is being amplified by this machine. And I said, okay, I got to do something different. They're like, yeah, we're going to send you to another rehab. This is November. So I'm Thanksgiving in the hospital, right? I have a whole new gratitude for cranberry sauce, just saying. You know what I mean? They don't give you that in the hospital. So it's November, and they're like, okay, we can send you to a nursing home. We can send you to an overnight rehab, and you stay there for another, I think, 3 to 6 weeks. We teach you how to walk more, because at this point I'm on a walker, so wheelchair to walker kind of thing. And I'm on a walker, and they're like, we're going to send you to a nursing home. I was like, I cannot go to a nursing home because people in there are on the end of their life. I'm not going to be, because I'm thinking I'm going to walk. I'm going to get out of the hospital in November or December. Then I'm going to start working in January. Right. Because I'm like ready to go back to work.
Right.
That doesn't happen.
Sure. Of course not.
So I get home. I finally opted. They're like, you don't have to go. You can go home. And now I can't sit up completely on my own because I have a hospital bed. It's doing things for me. So I decide, okay, I'm going to go home. Now, that probably wasn't the wisest decision.
I was gonna say, so you still can't do all this stuff. So now it's on Dennis to have to do all this.
Dennis and my son Ryan, they are like helping me like get in the bed, get up, turn over, all kinds of stuff, right? So I'm still thinking I'm gonna nail rehab. Then I'm gonna go and start working about, I don't know, January, February at the latest.
Right.
So now we're in 2022. I don't make any business plans in 2022, by the way. I just, I wing it, right, at this point. And so, but in my mind, I'm still like, okay, I got to get back to what I know. And that all I've known is real estate. I've been in real estate 23 years.
Sure.
So another revelation is like, okay, something different has to happen. So I go home. And I go to outpatient rehab at this point. They're all booked. Like, it's hard to get in one. So I finally find one, and they have 2 types of rehab I need, but they don't have the oxygen and lung, because I'm on an oxygen tank at this point. I'm sleeping with oxygen. I'm sitting up every day with oxygen. And I would just tell myself, okay, I'm going to do the process like walking. I'm going to take off my oxygen for a minute. Then I'm going to take it off for 5. Then I'm going to take it. So I'm working up to be without it. At this, I think the highest level I got off was like 3 hours.
Now, was this you doing this on your own? Did you
Pretty much. You already know.
See how you do. See? Okay.
It was even when I went to rehab, my doctors knew, like, okay, you need to rest. And I was like, no, I can go a few more minutes. They were like, okay, listen, chick, you need to rest. Sit down for a second, catch your breath. But I had to have measures. Like, I'm just that person regardless.
Right. You got to have.
I got to know, like, what am I shooting for?
Sure. You got to have benchmarks.
Yes, definitely. So, and she knew when I was getting tired. So she would say, okay, we got to sit down, right? Because now I'm just walking back and forth in the building, but I'm still using a walker. Eventually I graduate to a cane. I go from a cane to walking on my own, slowly but surely. I'm walking on my own. And, my arms, of course, my muscles have just been sitting there.
Right.
So just even learning how to, my range of motion, like being able to comb my own hair and just simple things that we take for granted. I probably didn't do my own hair until 2022, the end of 2022.
Okay.
At this point, I need help with almost everything. So here's where we are.
Okay, so all of this whole ordeal,
yes,
and we're very thankful you made it through it, but it has to leave you a changed person.
Yes.
Your mentality has to be a little bit different, right? You can't go through something like that and now live the same way you were. Things have to change. So tell me, what's the biggest thing? So you get through this, and now you're at a point where you can kind of do things and make choices and things like that. What happens to your psyche, your mind? What does life look like now versus before?
Yeah, so I think before, I probably didn't know this, but before I felt like I was a pretty humble person. But there's a whole different side of humility in a situation where you need everyone else's help. I always thought I was patient, but not to this level of patience.
Sure.
I'm more grateful, although I felt like, I have a gratitude today. It's not the level of gratitude we're thinking about at this point. So I become definitely more grateful. The things that I thought were important to me were not as important, because I'm the person, like, I'm going to show up as the solution or with the solution, one of the two. Now I realize it's not even my problem to have a solution for, right? I shared with you guys earlier, like, if somebody calls like, hey, I need help moving, I probably would try to figure out how to make it work. Yeah, that's not in my plan. Like, it's not a part of my life's work or life's purpose, because here's the thing I had to realize. I've been granted another opportunity that people don't get.
Sure.
Right? Miracles are more than 1 in a million, right? So it's only 1 in a million chances at a miracle. And so where I am right now is definitely a miracle.
Sure.
And because there's no scientific evidence that says I should be here, there's nothing else that says I should be here. So I don't want to waste a moment of my time doing something that is not what I need to be doing in the future or in the present, right? So the time with my family, like I can't get that back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? To be able to, we talk about, I know you've heard of the book, The One Thing,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the one more thing. Like, what's one more thing I need to be doing so I can accomplish what I'm supposed to do? Do I need to work an extra hour? Do I need to spend an extra hour with you want one more chance to spend with my husband, one more chance to spend with my children. And I don't know when my time ends. Like, we don't know how much time's on our clock.
Without a doubt. Yeah, your mortality
you know what I'm saying?
you're like, wow, this could be it.
Right. I told my husband, I said, listen, I asked him, like, do you want to go? We were trying to go somewhere, or I was trying to go somewhere. Let me put it that way. And I was like, but tomorrow may not even be here. Mm-hmm. Like, we can choose to do it today, because I don't even watch TV anymore, Al. Like, I didn't watch TV a lot before, mm-hmm. but now I absolutely don't watch it. Like, if somebody says, hey, did you hear what was going on? I may turn on the news or whatever. But I'm not sitting up every day, like on Thursdays at 7 o'clock, I need to watch this TV show, mm-hmm. or I need to record this TV show, because it really doesn't matter.
So, okay, because it doesn't really matter. So
it doesn't.
And so instead of then that period where you would have been watching TV, what are you doing now then?
Reading, writing, catching up on life. You know what I mean? I spend a lot of times working. You know, we applaud ourselves for being workaholics, mm-hmm. right? A lot of us do. And
yeah, you're like, workaholic.
Not shooting for that right now.
Exactly. Workaholic for what? Right.
Hey, you're gonna get whatever I leave you.
Right.
You know, whatever insurance doesn't. You know, I mean, whatever I don't need, like to, close out my life. I like to say, yeah, you can have that. Like, nothing else really matters at that point.
Well, I know you got busy creating a training curriculum and all that. You kind of got
I've been
deep
practicing
into that.
it, yes, for sure. I've been writing a lot of curriculum, actually, and testing it out. Uh-huh. I've actually, I had my first class. I had about 60-plus people in there, and these are people who are paying to take the class.
Nice. Did you wear a mask?
It was virtual.
Oh, okay. All right.
So that, let's see what else. And I did another one just here recently on investing in real estate, and I probably had about 35 people in that class, virtual. Mm-hmm. Virtual is like my thing right now. I do show up though with my mask. Mm-hmm. I show up with my face shield when I can, or when I feel like I need to, when I'm going to be around a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a lot more careful than I was before with all things, right? Whether that's driving or, going to the grocery store. People, I never knew how people would just order their groceries, but I think it's probably one of the best things invented.
It is.
Saves you time, mm-hmm. saves you money, because I'm the person, I'm going to get what's on the list, and I'm also going to get what else I feel like I need, depending on what I'm passing by in the grocery store. Right. Like, I'm not just going to get what's on the list. So, anyway, so it changes.
So, now there's you're not that you didn't prioritize things before. You do prioritize
not to that
things,
level though.
but now it's very you're very conscious of it. You want to make sure that the time that you're spending is well spent.
Correct.
And well spent with the people that you want to spend it
Correct.
with. Very good, very mm-hmm. good. The it's amazing that you were able to. It is like you said, nothing short of a miracle,
right?
That you were able to pull through that. And for you, surely it probably feels, because you're a woman of faith, it surely must feel like, okay, there's something else or some other things or some unfinished business that I was allowed to stay here to
Correct.
do.
Yeah.
So do you have a feel for what that may be? What this chapter of your life is supposed to be?
There's many parts of my story, and sometimes it's overwhelming to tell it all. So there's many parts of my story that I feel like is really going to make a change in how we think, how we move, in our time. I'm writing this book. It's called Time is of the Essence.
Okay.
I'm going back through it right now. I feel like I've gone through it several times since I've written it. I started at the beginning of this year, the beginning of 2022. And I'm still working on it. Like, I felt like I'd be done in like 90 days, right?
Well, we need to hurry get that time is of the essence. So
Right.
you need to get it out there.
So, but here's the interesting part. I don't want to leave out the parts that I get from other people,
Gotcha.
because I think that makes a difference. And it's the reason I feel like it makes a difference is before I got sick, I had been talking about having a corner crew, right? A group of people who are there to support you, remind you of, why you're here, why you're fighting for this, that, or the other. And the people who were in my corner during this time, my family, my friends. I mean, I have 2 girlfriends who showed up. Like, I wasn't there for my son's birthday, but they showed up with cake and to celebrate him because they know that's what I would have wanted for him. You know what I mean? So the people who I've had in my corner, brokerages, leadership, but my friends' family, my church family, all of those people like had to come together to make this work. Now, what I didn't share with you is when I found out I had COVID, my husband had been vaccinated. He also got COVID, and my son also got COVID.
But what happened with them, though?
But
because they were vaccinated.
Anyway,
and they were
what
covered.
I'm saying is, what I'm saying is, all those, like, they needed help too. So although I'm here fighting for my life, they still are fighting for theirs in a different format, right? Sure. So people that I know just came together. All of a sudden, I can't pray for myself. I'm the person they're going to call. Hey, Melinda, can you join us on this prayer call? Can you pray with us? I was even doing a prayer call for my brokerage before all this happened. So I can't pray for myself. So I have to depend on other people to pray me through the situation. You know what I mean?
Your corner crew. I like that.
corner
Your corner
crew
crew is good. It takes you back to your boxing reference,
Yes,
Creed
for
and all that
Creed.
stuff.
1,
So
2,
you got
and 3.
So that corner crew
Yes.
is there, and I'm sure that you are now more conscious of being a member of somebody else's corner crew.
Correct.
So you're there to help support others and do
To
things.
a certain extent.
To a certain extent, right. To the extent of like you're still now able to make decisions based on your priorities. And so, like you said, somebody say, hey, I need you to come help me move.
Probably not going to happen.
Right.
I didn't like helping people move to
in the first place.
with,
Exactly.
Right. So very good reason and excuse not to help them move.
Well,
call me when the boxes are unpacked.
Right.
I'll come celebrate with you then.
So I think this has been good. I'm glad you came and shared this, because most people, we hear the stories, but not to this level of detail, because nobody, we knew there were a lot of tragic situations that came out of this.
Right.
And, and we just a handful of stories like yours. And I don't know of one like yours where somebody actually survived the extent of the stuff that you went through.
Correct.
And I agree that, now what you're doing, prioritizing certain things, completing certain things, that curriculum and training course that you've been talking about. Yeah, but that had been on the agenda for a while, but now it is prioritized and you got it finished and moving forward with it. And so I think what is your big takeaway, because I think all of life's setbacks and challenges and obstacles are all teaching moments. And so I would say, if you're going to leave us with anything today, what is the greatest lesson you've learned from all of this?
I believe not to work on someone else's vision more than you work on your own. Yeah.
Gotcha.
For sure.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
There's one thing that you're uniquely created to do. You should do that. Not that you shouldn't be involved in other things, but that needs to be the priority.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So if you were to look up, because at the end of, let's say this thing had ended in August, and you look back, and you're in heaven, and you kind of taking inventory of whose agenda you worked on the most, and it probably would be somebody else's, right?
It would have been their thing.
Right.
Even for I'm not just business, even personally.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah, it's not just a business thing. You personally, many of the things and the choices that we make are choices born out of trying to do something for somebody else's benefit.
Right.
So, but this has been good, Melinda. I appreciate you. We're gonna have you come back.
I know. I felt like I kept rambling.
No.
On
It was good.
on.
It was a very compelling story. It was one that, I knew what was happening, but I didn't know what all was happening. And so grateful, so glad that everything did work out. I think you
glad to be here.
Another lesson you probably learned that, hey, if another pandemic sweeps through here, you will, whatever that vaccine is, you will get it.
Okay.
Yeah, you were relying on, I guess. And I'm like, okay, I guess you waiting to do
You're not going to let this go.
Well, I couldn't understand. I thought maybe you were thinking, well, maybe you believe that, they'll inject you with Lysol or Ajax or something, hit you with that light. What were they talking about? Hit the body with the light and all that stuff. Maybe you would believe in that stuff. And I was like, what are you doing, Melinda?
Here's the thing. You feel, sometimes you get to a point where you feel invincible.
Yeah.
You really do.
That's, you know what I
mean?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
You feel like, hey, I've survived this, that, and the other. I can definitely survive this. And plus, I didn't know any fatal instances with COVID, not personally.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So now if people ask me, I send them a picture.
Oh, with the picture you sent? Is it the picture you sent?
Not that one. Okay. Not that one. There was one in between, right? Where I'm like plugged up to everything. Okay. You know what I mean? So
let them know it's real.
Yeah. I have a lot of people who have gotten vaccines since then. Sure. And I tell people, it's your own personal decision, but be ready for the consequence of what the consequences are going to look like. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Play it the way you want to play it.
Here are my consequences.
There you go. I love it. Love it. Well, Melinda, this has been great. I appreciate you hanging with us. All of you who were listening, hopefully you liked today. So if you get a chance, please like this on our social media pages and subscribe to the podcast and share it with others. But hopefully we did accomplish the 3 E's today.
Did we?
Yeah, I think we did.
Good.
I think we did.
Right.
So we hope to see you next time, and y'all have a great day.